Hi. Greetings from the Wisdom Lord Raphael. Before we start, please subscribe and hit the notification bell icon and don't miss any contents. This is the light novel of that time I got reincarnated as a slime. If you haven't watched previous video, I will leave the link on the description box or you can click here. Let's start. This is Tensura Light Novel Volume 16. Tensura Light Novel Volume 16. The End of the Game. Chapter 1. The Betrayal. Eldon Kumara vs. Gracia and Pico. Outside the labyrinth, Dino awoke. Well, I guess I won the bet. Dino let out a sigh of relief. His equipment was still intact and there was no physical damage. No, this is something else. Ramrus was merciful enough to let me escape, right? After muttering that, Dino looked at the broken bracelet. It was a cheap bracelet that he had bought at a store in the labyrinth. Yes, it was a resurrection bracelet. Because Dino hadn't recorded a save point, the resurrection point was still above the labyrinth. It was left in place as one of the escape routes, just in case something like this happened. Not giving me a real bracelet with an unlimited number of resurrections was meant to be a warning. But you could have eliminated the entire function if you wanted to, you naive yet sweet fool. Dino sadly muttered to himself. He had kept the item made by Ramrus, the target of kidnap, as a secret insurance. The fact that he was able to do such unprincipled things without hesitation was what made Dino. It was an inferior product that could only be used once, and it was made in large quantities by Ramrus. He had gambled his fate on it, but it seems that heaven was on Dino's side. I guess I'm still an angel, even after I fall. Thinking to himself, Dino looked around. He was planning to join his colleagues who were fighting Geld and the others and retreat as quickly as possible. He also didn't forget to contact Zelario through telepathy net, telling him that the mission had failed. Dino's colleagues had been tasked with obstructing the reclosing of the labyrinth in order to secure an escape route. Until Zelario came out, they were unable to escape either. Since the mission had failed, they should not stay much longer. But even so, that guy is way too strong. I really can't stand him. Dino grumbled again, remembering Zegion. Feldway would be furious, but Dino felt lucky to have survived. That said, this is probably the first time Feldway's plan has ever failed. Also, it seems like Cornu was taken out. I don't know how, but I really shouldn't be hostile to Demon Lord Remure. In fact, Dino, who had been reluctant about this mission from the start, wondered to himself why he had even agreed to it. The thought of what was to come made Dino feel depressed. All in all, since Zegion had become such a monster, it would be hopeless to conquer the labyrinth in a straightforward manner. Not only Zegion, but all of the higher-ranking executives of Tempest were monsters. He didn't even know what was happening with Rimuru and the others, but he could guess that something terrible had changed. That's why I didn't want to do this. Dino wanted to live in peace and quiet in the labyrinth. But still, all this had happened. Even though it was unavoidable as his job, he could not help but feel depressed. I don't know what Feldway is thinking, but he's probably not going to give up. But this really is impossible. Just now was probably the best chance they could have gotten. Now that the opportunity was gone, Dino understood that there would be no next time. In addition, there was another problem. I won't be able to go back anymore because of this hostile relationship. The days of living in the labyrinth were very comfortable and easy for the lazy Dino. Even though it was work, helping Vesta was fun. He had become friends with Gabble, helping each other in various ways. Dino was also happy whenever the researchers made a discovery. Dino had developed sense of companionship with Vesta and the others as he spent his days without boredom. And one more thing. Perhaps everyone had forgotten, but Dino was here under Guy's orders. In other words, he had been given an intelligence mission to report on the events occurring in the labyrinth. Dino doesn't think that Guy expected much from him, but he still felt it was a bit unbearable. He's a pain in the ass when he's angry. To be honest, it was super troublesome. It was just as troublesome to keep thinking about it, so Dino hurried towards where his companions were. When Dino arrived at his companion's location, the battle was at a stalemate. The barrier Lord Geld was fighting against the muscular female warrior, Gracia. It was shocking that the two were fairly equal in strength. To Dino, it was a sight that really made him wonder if something was wrong with his eyes. If he's evenly matched with Gracia, does that mean his power is already greater than mine? You've got to be kidding me, to evolve into this. Geld's body was stained with blood, but Dino couldn't tell if it was his own or if it was his enemy's. After all, he didn't see the slightest sign of injury anywhere on his body. If the damage was caused by a mana attack, the effects of a healing potion would not be enough to heal the wound. Naturally, Gracia's attack would be mana tinged with the intent to destroy. The fact that Geld was unharmed by such an attack might be due to his incredible defensive power or to his supernatural recovery ability. As Dino was pondering this, Gracia flashed her longsword before him. The blow sliced through Geld's scale shield and ripped open his arm. However, Geld was completely unfazed. He simply threw away his broken shield and took a new one out of his stomach and held it up. Dino saw it. There were no wounds left on Geld's arm. Ah, it's ultra-speed regeneration. It's skilled enough to heal even Gracia's attacks. Dino was not happy at all, even though he knew the answer. That's enough. You're so stubborn. You don't even change your stance. When I attack you, are you crazy? Is that so? I actually don't know much about it myself, but should I have praised you for your excellent attack? You're being sarcastic. Damn it, if I don't kill you with one blow, the wound will heal right away. I should be the one praising your toughness. With that said, Geld and Gracia resumed their fierce battle. Neither of them cared about their own injuries and did their best to take advantage of their opponent. Geld's meat crusher knife was flicked away by Gracia's circle shield as fierce sparks wildly flew about. Just that alone sent a shockwave rushing through the ground. Dumbfounded, Dino completely missed the chance to speak to Gracia. Geld had always been a behind-the-scenes, silver-tongued kind of guy. He had no outstanding record against the Empire, so Dino had thought lightly of him. But that was a terrible mistake. I get it now. The people of this country are all just crazy. Dino was forcibly convinced that he had finally found the truth. And above Dino's head, a fierce air battle was also underway. Ah, dodging left and right is so annoying. That's what I wanted to say. You don't even have wings to fly with, but you're so cocky. It's easy enough to manipulate gravity. Compared to that, I've had enough of this game of chase. Shall we end this now? That's my line. The mysterious Kumara and the childlike Pico. The two bewitching girls looked quite good together, but their battle was intense. Pico unleashed a black thunder that covered the ground, charring the surface of the earth. Yet for some reason, it was unable to take effect on Kumara's surroundings. It was only natural from Kumara's point of view. The Thunder Tiger Raikou, Kumara's pet and one of her tailed beasts, specialized in lightning attacks, so it only made sense that her defense against thunder would be excellent. This time it's my turn. Kumara moved out with such intent. Driving her 8 tails in a fluid motion, she launched a series of 9-tailed slashes. However, these were all blocked by Pico's spear movement. A high-pitched sound rang out on the battlefield. It was a truly even battle, forcing Dino to revise Kumara's fighting ability upwards in his mind. The 12 Guardian Lords, what a scary bunch. Dino admitted it honestly. Not one of them, but all of the members were a threat. That was safe to assume, Dino thought. Pico and Gracia, the former Seraphim, were comparable to awakened true demon lords. They had been out of combat for a long time, so it was not a simple matter of comparing their strength, but they were definitely not weak. With the Tempest executives out of picture, Dino had originally thought that he and the two girls alone would be enough to conquer the labyrinth. Feldway had even taken the trouble to send in 2 of the 3 Phantom Commanders and had even entered the battle himself. It was a situation of absolute victory, but the results were as one could see. Dino almost felt dizzy in the face of this reality. Both Pico and Gracia seemed to have lost their composure, perhaps because they hadn't fought in a long time. No wonder, Dino thought. Even though they had fallen, they were still the highest-ranked Seraphim. The once brilliant 7 primordial angels were struggling in a battle, and their pride must have been torn to pieces. Dino was no stranger to this, but he had already tossed all that aside. You two, fall back. We're retreating. Dino shouted. The 2 girls reacted, but seemed unhappy about it. We're just getting started, you know. Don't talk nonsense when I'm about to get serious. Shut up. From the moment you two came to fight, this operation was already in ruins. Pico and Gracia's role was originally to provide logistical support from the rear, but since there was a gap in the battlefield, it was more prudent to take part in it. The fact that they were caught up in the middle of the battle meant that the enemy's strength had exceeded their expectations. A tactical victory here would be completely meaningless in terms of strategy. Wait, you mean the mission failed? Yeah, it failed. If it hadn't failed, I wouldn't have run away. But Feldway made the plan, right? How could that cautious perfectionist Feldway misjudge the enemy's strength? That's the way it is. It can't be. With Zelario and Cornu here, how could the mission still fail? Because we already lost. I told Zelario to stand down, but that Cornu bastard was probably killed. In short, none of the goals were achieved, so there's no point in fighting anymore. Is this a lie? Seriously, I really don't think that's possible. Pico and Gracia were speechless. In contrast, Geld and Kumara wore proud expressions. Hey, does that mean you lost too? I mean, don't ask me that. Don't you have the decency to pretend not to notice? Facing Gracia's question, Dino replied perfunctorily, as if he didn't care. Gracia was stunned, not by the failure of the mission, but by Dino's lack of remorse. In any case, there was no reason to doubt Dino's words. With their heads already cooled down, Pico and Gracia accepted the retreat. Damn it, don't think that you've won. That will not happen. You were splitting your power to stop the labyrinth from recovering during the fight with me, weren't you? Next time, I hope I can face you in perfect condition. Huh. Ahahaha. You saw that, did you? I like that. See you later. Gracia and Geld acknowledged one another and peacefully said their goodbyes. Pico and Kumara on the other hand. Your name was Pico, right? You get to keep your life for today. Ha, I wasn't even serious. You're the one who gets to keep her life. They glared at each other viciously, then grunted and turned their faces away from each other. Despite the completely different atmosphere, the two agreed to end the battle. With that, Dino and the others had successfully withdrawn from the scene. That's all for today. Hope you guys enjoy this video. Please check my other YouTube videos. And don't forget to like, share, subscribe and hit the notification icon, and don't miss any updates.